This is Professor Stephen Litch in the Principles of Economics, and I'm going to be talking about public goods. In economics, goods can have two characteristics, one or both of two characteristics. Goods can be rival in consumption, which means that if one person consumes the good, no one else can. So, for example, if I have an apple and I eat my apple, no one else can eat that apple. It's unavailable to everyone else. That is rival in consumption. Other goods are not rival in consumption. So, for example, watching a movie on Netflix, if I watch a movie, it is still available for everyone else to watch. So, watching a movie on Netflix is not rival in consumption. There are some goods that are kind of in between, usually goods that get congested, such as driving on a road. Um, when there's little traffic, a road is not rival in consumption. I can get on the road, drive on the road, it doesn't interfere with anyone else's use of the road. Once the road starts getting congested, then adding more vehicles to the road will slow everyone down. So it is somewhat rival in consumption. Another person enjoying the road or benefiting from the road, using the road, reduces other people's uh, enjoyment from the road. Okay, so some goods are rival in consumption, some goods are not. A second characteristic that goods can possibly have is being excludable. Excludable means that we can prevent people from using that good. Again, roads provide us a good example of the difference between excludable and not excludable. A public highway is not excludable. Anyone can drive on that road, whereas a toll road is an excludable road. A person is prevented from driving on that road if the person doesn't pay the toll. Okay, other examples like my apple is excludable. It belongs to me. No one else can use it. But fish in the ocean are not excludable. They belong to nobody. Anyone can catch them. So these two characteristics can give us four different combinations of goods. Some goods are excludable and rival. That's most goods in economics. We call them private goods. My apple is a private good. Again, only one person can consume it, and I can prevent anyone else from consuming it. Okay, so apples and most goods that we think about are private goods. The other extreme are the goods that are not excludable and not rival in consumption. Those are called public goods. Roads, for the most part, are public goods. No one is prevented from using roads, and adding another car to the road does not take it away from anyone else. The military is often used as another example of a public good. The protection that it provides to me does not reduce the protection that it provides to you. So it's not rival. It is also not excludable. If, for example, Canada were to invade the United States and the military starts defending the nation, there's not a way that it can defend some people but not other people. Defend me more than other people. The same defense helps everyone, no matter what. Again, there's no way to prevent anyone from having the benefit of national defense or military defense. Okay, now those are private goods and public goods. There are two types of goods that are kind of in between. Club goods are excludable but not rival in consumption. So they're kind of like public goods in that many people can benefit from them, but also someone could be prevented from it. One example of a club good would be Netflix. We can all watch Netflix. One person using Netflix does not interfere with another person's use of Netflix. That's what it means to be non rival. but Netflix is excludable, and Netflix prevents people from watching the movies unless they purchase a subscription. Other examples of club goods might be resources at a university. For the most part, many people can use the library. One person using the library doesn't interfere with other people using the library. So it's almost a public good, except it's accessible only to people who are members of the club, in this case, the university. Okay, so it's excludable, which means that it is a club good. The other type of quasi-public good, not quite a private good, not quite a public good. The other type is a common resource. A common resource is rival in consumption. That means one person using it does reduce the benefit that other people get from it, but it's not excludable. A great example of a common resource would be fish out in the ocean. Anyone can harvest fish from international waters, but when one person catches a fish, it's not available for other people to catch. Another example would be forests on public land. I think about North Carolina several hundred years ago when it had beautiful, beautiful pine forests when Europeans arrived. And the Europeans acted as if these trees were a common resource. They were available to anyone to harvest. And so over several hundred years, almost all of these beautiful pine forests were cut down to make timber for building ships, and the sap from the pine trees was used to make tar to waterproof the ships. And North Carolina gets its nickname, the Tar Heel State, from the tar that was produced in the shipping industry. So, common resources, again, are goods that are rival in consumption, they get used up, and non-excludable. Everyone has access to them. Before I talk further about public goods and common resources, I want to explain kind of a thought experiment that I usually do in class. So I tell the class that each student hypothetically has $100, and they are part of a group of 25 students. Each student in this group can donate some, all, or none of their $100 to some type of group project, group investment. The money that goes to this group project doubles in value and then gets shared evenly among all 25 people in the group. Money that you don't donate, you get to keep. So again, either a dollar goes into your pocket or that dollar goes to the group project where it doubles in value and gets shared out. Okay, then I ask the students to think about how much they would donate. If you're listening to this video, I'd encourage you just to pause for a minute and think about what your choice would be. And there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer to this. Just think about what you would want to do, what you would offer to do. Write down your answer on a piece of paper and then resume the video. Now, let me talk about what is optimal for society. Remember, the social optimum is really what a benevolent social planner would choose for society in order to maximize overall benefit. And in this case, the social optimum would be that everyone donates the full $100. Then all the money doubles, every penny that everyone owns doubles and gets shared out evenly, giving each person $200. The total amount for everyone in the group is $5,000, and that's the most that the total group can possibly have. However, if you are one of the people in this group, you have to think about what's in your best interest. Think of what would happen if everyone else donates $100 and you're still trying to decide what to do with your money. The money they donate will give you $192, and that's fixed. The amount you donate is not going to change that. If you donate nothing, you keep your full $100 plus the $192 you get from them. So you have a total of $292. Okay? Now, that is actually better for you than contributing to the common good. If you contributed to the common good, you'd get only $200. So it's in your best interest to donate nothing. That's how you get the most money. When you donate nothing, you get 292. That's great for you. They get less. They get 192. The total amount for the group is then $4,900. And this is why the social planner doesn't like this outcome. It doesn't maximize the total money for the whole group. In that sense, it's not socially optimal. However, it was your best strategy. Remember, the social optimum was that everyone donates $100 and everyone receives $200. So that's a total of $5,000 for the entire group. But it's in your best interest to donate nothing. Each dollar you give to the group results in only 8 cents for yourself, 192 cents for everyone else, but only 8 cents for yourself. If you are being a smart, economical, rational, self-interested person, you want to donate nothing to the group project. So let me say, that's the answer to the question that I presented earlier. How much should you donate to the group project? Absolutely nothing. I said earlier that there was no right or wrong answer to the question, and that's kind of true. But if you want to be a rational economic person, there is a right answer, and the answer is donate zero. A dollar that you keep is a dollar for yourself. A dollar that you donate is 8 cents for yourself. So don't donate money. This is the free rider problem. I think you know what a free rider is. Someone who accepts benefit from the group but contributes nothing. That is economically rational. So remember when you've worked on group projects and one member in the group contributes only a minimal amount, forcing everyone else to take the burden of the project? That's the smartest member of your group. They recognize that their own impact on the group's grade is small. They can let other people do the work, they still get the reward. Free riding is individually rational, but it's a problem with public goods because in this case, everyone should be a free rider and nobody should donate to the common good. It would be better for everyone if everyone donated their full money to the common good. It would be better for each person individually if the whole group would agree to that strategy. But still, if the group says they're going to do this, and even if everyone else donates all their money to the common project, you still have a choice what to do with your $100. Keeping it, you get it all. Donating it, each dollar becomes 8 cents for you, and so it remains rational for you to contribute nothing. Now, let me change this experiment just a tiny bit. Instead of dividing the money from the group investment evenly among everyone in the group, have a rule that people must donate X dollars in order to receive their share of the group money. And the group gets to decide what X will be. If the group thinks about this, they would set X equal to 100. Everyone has to contribute $100 to the group in order to get anything from the common investment. Well, at that point, you have a choice. You can keep your $100 for yourself and you get nothing, or join the group. You have to give up your $100, but then you get a share of what everyone else has donated, and you get a total of $200. So in that case, everyone's going to want to be a part of this group and to contribute what is specified by the group, what's required to get your share of the money. In this case, $100. That little modification has radically changed the outcome of people's decisions. Instead of wanting to be free riders and donate nothing, they want to contribute everything to the common good. And the change was essentially making the benefit excludable, changing it from essentially a public good into a club good. People must make a donation or else they are excluded from the club. So now think of a group project for a class with other students. Imagine if students in the group were permitted to exclude someone from receiving the group grade if that person is a free rider. Then, instead of each person wanting to be a free rider, each person will want to contribute as much as they can to the common good. Again, excludability completely changes the outcome by making the good excludable, by being able to prevent people from enjoying the good if they don't, in this case, do their share of the work. The group can force all its members to contribute the socially optimal amount of work to the group project. So let me summarize. When goods are not excludable, people want to be free riders. When goods are excludable, people will behave optimally. So this indicates there's going to be a problem both with common resources and public goods. If we let people decide on their own what to do, public goods will be underprovided. People don't want to contribute to the common good. The fire department in my community would be another example of a free rider problem. The people who work for the fire department are almost all volunteers. We don't get compensated for it. People in the fire district get protection from the fire department regardless of whether they contribute. And for the people in the fire department, the work they do mostly goes to help other people. Very rarely are we putting out fires or responding to emergencies at the house of one of our members. While anyone could join this fire department, only 40 people out of 8,000 actually do. The others recognize they can get all the benefit without contributing anything. Maybe the main reason I became a firefighter is I realized that someone's got to do this work, and it's human nature to be a free rider. I study free rider problems. I know that. And I feel terribly guilty realizing that free riding is rational behavior. Okay. Free riding is also a problem for common resources. This problem is sometimes described as the tragedy of the commons. Back in old-fashioned days, towns in Europe would often have a village green or village commons where everyone could graze their livestock. There's a problem with sustainability. A person could have a large flock of sheep who eat the grass all the way down to the ground. Problem with that is when the grass has been overgrazed, there's not enough grass to grow and replenish for the next season. If this grass were a private good, a farmer would have incentive to balance current use of the grass versus future use. A farmer would pay attention to essentially sustainability. But as a common resource, most of the grass that gets replenished goes to other farmers' sheep. Then leaving grass to grow back is almost like the problem of donating money to the common good. The grass might double in size, but each farmer's share of that would be small. So leaving grass to grow back is simply not individually rational. There would be overexploitation of the common grass. That's called the tragedy of the commons. And it's sort of a parable for any type of overexploitation of common resources. When a resource is common, people do have incentive to overuse it, not pay attention to what we might call sustainability. The problem here, again, has to do with the good being non-excludable. If we were able to make the village grass excludable and each farmer has their own share of the grass, then each farmer would have incentive to balance the future growth of the grass against current use and come up with a plan that maximizes the long-term use of the grass. Some economists would say that the whole problem with public goods and common resources is a lack of property rights. We don't make it clear who has a right to grass that grows back. If there were a rule assigning the grass to a particular person, again, that person would have incentive to maintain the grass in a way that is sustainable. And that's an argument for replacing common grazing areas with privately owned land. Now let me summarize this lesson. Goods can have two characteristics. Some goods are rival in consumption, which means that one person using it means someone else cannot. My private apple is an example of something that's rival in consumption. The grass in the field where the sheep graze, that's also rival in consumption. When one farmer's sheep eat the grass, someone else's sheep cannot. Goods can also be excludable or not. An excludable good is one where people can be prohibited from using that good. The village commons are not excludable. Everyone has the right to graze cattle there. One farmer's private property is excludable. A person cannot graze livestock there without the farmer's permission. Okay, non-excludable goods have essentially a free rider problem. People have little incentive to contribute to the common good if their own contribution provides minimal benefit to them personally. Public radio and public television like NPR and PBS try to be public goods. The broadcasts are not rival in consumption because anyone can listen to it without taking away the broadcast from other people. And the broadcasts are not excludable. Everyone is allowed to tune in. The problem with these public radio and public television stations is that they have to constantly beg for money. And you probably understand the problem. Even though they provide great news, they will provide that news to me whether or not I contribute. So why should I want to contribute? My own contribution gets me nothing. Often one solution to the problem of the tragedy of the commons that shows up with common resources is to privatize the good. With public goods, a strategy is for the government to fund the public good, and usually that's done by taxing people who benefit from the good. That's going to be essentially the next lesson that I provide.